The Denver Nuggets are one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now, heading into the All-Star break as the third seed in the highly competitive Western Conference with an impressive 36-19 record. After the break, they'll host the Charlotte Hornets, looking to extend their league-best winning streak to 9 games. A key figure in Denver's success this season has been Russell Westbrook. Despite missing a significant portion of their recent win streak due to a left hamstring injury, the former MVP has made a major impact since joining the team. Coach Michael Malone has already confirmed that Westbrook is expected to return to the lineup after the break, and his presence will be crucial as the Nuggets push toward the postseason. Before his injury, Westbrook had been an Ironman for Denver, playing in every game and serving as both a leader on the court and a mentor on the sidelines. His influence has been especially evident in the play of rookie Jalen Pickett, who has stepped up admirably in Westbrook's absence. Pickett himself has credited much of his recent success to Westbrook's guidance.
Russ is coaching from the sidelines, and then seeing him cheer me on is kind of, is unreal, to be honest with you. Russell Westbrook, Hall of Famer, one of the best point guards. I looked up to him, and, seeing him cheer me on is amazing.
Since being inserted into the starting lineup on December 27th, Westbrook has been putting up solid numbers, averaging 14.2 points, 6.6 assists, and 6.4 rebounds per game, while shooting an efficient 53.8% from the field. But with about a third of the season left, the race for playoff positioning is heating up, and Denver will need Westbrook at his best. His energy, experience, and leadership could play a pivotal role in determining where the Nuggets land in the final standings. So just how seamlessly has Westbrook fit into Denver's system? And what has his true impact been on the team's success this season? Let's take a closer look. I usually kick things off by talking about offense, but let's switch it up this time and focus on defense. Specifically, how Russell Westbrook has performed in isolation situations this season. Simply put, he's been phenomenal, allowing just 0.61 points per possession when defending ISOs, placing him in the 90th percentile league-wide. That makes him the second best ISO defender on his team, trailing only Jalen Pickett, who has given up 0.60 points per possession. While Westbrook hasn't defended a high volume of ISO possessions, the ones he has faced highlight just how reliable he can be when left on an island. With the departure of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the Nuggets need players who can lock down opponents in one-on-one situations, and Westbrook has stepped up in a big way. In fact, he has been significantly better than Caldwell-Pope in this area, as KCP has allowed 0.96 points per possession on ISOs this season, a stark contrast to Westbrook's elite numbers. A major key to Westbrook's success has been his ability to force turnovers, utilizing 2 highly effective techniques. First, he uses his long wingspan to poke the ball loose from behind, catching opponents off guard when they aren't aware of his reach. Second, he perfectly times his steal attempts when his matchup puts the ball on the floor, whether they're trying to drive past him or post him up. Both of these methods have made him a nightmare for ball handlers in isolation, and if he can sustain this defensive level through the second half of the season, and more importantly, in the playoffs, the Nuggets may have found an even better defensive replacement for Caldwell-Pope than they ever expected when they lost him to the Orlando Magic in the offseason. Now let's take a closer look at Westbrook's impact as a pick-and-roll defender this season. Surprisingly, or perhaps not, he's been one of the best in the league. His relentless pressure on ball handlers makes it incredibly difficult for them to maneuver through screens, disrupting plays before they can fully develop. A major factor behind Westbrook's success in defending the pick and roll is his ability to read ball handlers and force turnovers. This is backed up by the numbers. Westbrook ranks in the top 5 for the highest turnover rate forced when guarding ball handlers in pick and roll situations. What's even more impressive is how he does it. Just like in isolation defense, he uses the same 2 key techniques I mentioned earlier to generate steals in pick and roll coverage. Beyond his knack for forcing turnovers, Westbrook's screen navigation has been equally elite. He rarely gets caught on screens, and even when he does, especially when going over, he's quick to recover. His long wingspan allows him to reach from behind, either poking the ball loose or coming away with a clean steal. This combination of screen navigation and recovery ability makes it incredibly difficult for opposing ball handlers to gain any real advantage in pick-and-roll situations when Westbrook is locked in on them. To put his defensive impact into perspective, Westbrook has allowed fewer points per possession on pick-and-rolls than elite defenders like Amen Thompson, Derrick Jones Jr., Derek White, and Dyson Daniels. And this isn't just a case of him feasting on weaker offensive players. He's consistently matched up against some of the league's best creators and shutting down their ability to generate offense. Given how well Westbrook and his teammates have performed in pick-and-roll defense, it might surprise some to learn that the Nuggets rank third in the league in this category. This is especially unexpected considering the defensive reputations of players like Jokic and Murray, who are often labeled as liabilities. However, those who have been watching closely know that they aren't liabilities and that this isn't a fluke. What has truly stood out about Westbrook's defense this season, something we've already highlighted, is his exceptional ability to read the passing lanes and aggressively hunt for steals. This isn't just a new development, it's a continuation of a defensive instinct he has honed year after year. Westbrook has a knack for anticipating passes and perfectly timing his move to intercept them, whether it be in pick-and-roll situations or when providing help defense. He's a risk taker, but not recklessly. His gambles are calculated. He reads the ball handler's intentions, baiting them into making a pass that seems open, only to pounce at the perfect moment. Even when the defense collapses around him or his teammates overreact to the ball handler, Westbrook remains patient. He strategically maintains just enough distance to give the illusion of an open passing lane, luring the opponent into making the pass. The moment they commit, he reacts, either sprinting toward the intended receiver to snatch the ball or using his long wingspan to deflect it. So far this season, Westbrook has already recorded 72 steals, ranking 14th in the league, and is well on his way to surpassing last season's total of 74. His ability to disrupt passing lanes and shut down offensive sets before they fully develop has been a game changer. In fact, he's a key reason why the Nuggets rank in the top 10 in total steals this season, accounting for more than 15% of the team's total takeaways. Now let's dive into Westbrook's offensive game, starting with his shooting performance this season. This year, he's enjoying his third-best three-point shooting season to date, connecting on 33.1% of his attempts from beyond the arc, an encouraging leap from last season's 27.3%. While his 33.1% shooting efficiency still isn't quite elite, the progress is hard to ignore. What's particularly impressive is his improvement in both catch-and-shoot and pull-up three-pointers. Westbrook is converting 31.3% of his catch-and-shoot threes this season, a notable jump from last year's 24.8%. Meanwhile, he's knocking down 33.3% of his pull-up threes, up from 31.4% last season. Even more telling is the increased volume of both types of shots is an indicator that the Denver Nuggets have developed real trust in Westbrook to not only take, but also make these threes. Although Westbrook has made notable strides in improving his pull-up three-point shooting this season, the Nuggets' offense doesn't hinge on his ability to excel in this area. Typically, elite pull-up shooters are players who dominate the ball, tasked with creating offense for their team. Think of stars like Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, and James Harden, each leading the league in pull-up three-point attempts this season. However, for the Nuggets, the offensive load falls largely on the shoulders of Jokic and Jamal Murray, not Westbrook. As a result, Denver doesn't need him to be a high-volume pull-up shooter. Instead, they require him to be a consistent threat from beyond the arc, especially on spot-ups and catch-and-shoot opportunities. This is reflected in the fact that less than 9% of Westbrook's shot attempts this season are pull-up threes, while nearly 25% of his total attempts come from catch-and-shoot situations. For Westbrook individually, the key to contributing to the Nuggets' success lies in his ability to continue refining his catch-and-shoot three-point game. With the second half of the season ahead, this is where his development could make all the difference. Currently shooting 31.3% on catch-and-shoot threes, if he can elevate that to at least 35%, it could prove transformative for the Nuggets offense as they head into the playoffs. Defenses would have to respect his shooting, which would open up new opportunities, not only for Westbrook's driving game, but for the entire team's offensive flow. In today's NBA, the ability to shoot the three-pointer has become a cornerstone of any player's skill set. It's not just a valuable weapon, it's practically essential. In fact, a player who can't shoot from beyond the arc risks being ignored by defenders, allowing their primary defender to sag off, become more of a help defender, and disrupt the flow of the offense. This season, we've seen defenders doing exactly that with Russell Westbrook, often daring him to take the shot by staying several feet away whenever he steps beyond the three-point line. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 98% of Westbrook's three-point attempts this season have been uncontested, with defenders positioned at least 4 feet away when he lets it fly. This puts added pressure on his teammates as one defender essentially becomes a floating help defender, free to assist elsewhere on the court, forcing the other 4 players to pick up the slack and adapt their game. Big men in general, even those who lack shooting range, remain a constant threat on the court, thanks to their presence and vertical spacing near the rim. Guards and forwards, however, don't always pose the same kind of threat due to their smaller stature or limited leaping ability. But then there's some, like Russell Westbrook, who can find other ways of impacting the game offensively. Despite his improved three-point shooting, defenders still give him ample space beyond the arc, knowing his shooting percentage is well below league average. Yet Westbrook offers more than just a three-point shot. He brings a unique danger with his explosive ability to break down defenders off the dribble. This dynamic skill forces defenses to collapse, often leading to overhelping and creating open looks for others. This season, Westbrook has averaged 9 drives per game, up from 7.8 last year, and his efficiency on those drives has drastically improved. He's now converting 53% of his shots off the dribble, placing him in the top 20 in the league for field goal percentage on drives among high-volume players. That's a significant jump from his 44.9% last season. His speed and explosiveness allow him to easily blow by defenders, not just creating scoring chances for himself near the rim, but also showcasing his elite playmaking ability. When he beats his defender, the defense is forced to scramble, and if the path to the basket is blocked, Westbrook's court vision kicks in. He quickly finds open teammates, setting them up for high-quality scoring opportunities, making his offensive game even more lethal. What truly stands out about Westbrook's game, though, is his playmaking off the dribble. This season, 12.7% of his drives have resulted in assists, ranking him 6th in the league among players who attempt at least 9 drives per game. That puts him ahead of elite facilitators like Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, and even Luka Doncic in terms of assist percentage off drives. This surge in playmaking is largely a response to teams overcommitting on his drives, creating more opportunities for him to find open teammates. To put it into perspective, nearly 18% of his total assists this season have come from these situations. While that may not seem like an overwhelming share, considering the many ways he generates assists throughout a game, it's a key part of his offensive versatility. His ability to both score and facilitate off the dribble has been a driving force behind not just his individual success, but the Nuggets' offensive efficiency as a whole. Westbrook's driving ability primarily comes from isolation possessions, pick and rolls, and attacking in transition. While I mentioned earlier that the Nuggets don't heavily rely on his isolation plays, given they already have Jokic and Murray to generate offense, Westbrook has still been highly effective in his limited opportunities. In fact, he boasts an impressive 56.4 effective field goal percentage on isolations, ranking 4th in the entire league. He has been more efficient in these situations than some of the NBA's most well-known isolation scorers like Jalen Brunson, Giannis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum, and even his own teammate, Nikola Jokic. That's remarkable, especially considering how many people believe Westbrook is no longer an elite ISO player. And despite the Nuggets not being dependent on his isolation scoring, they clearly trust him in these situations. Westbrook ranks 2nd on the team in total isolation possessions, trailing only Jamal Murray. What's even more fascinating, Westbrook has actually been a significantly better isolation player than both Murray and Jokic this season. Not only does he have a far superior effective field goal percentage, but he also excels at drawing fouls and creating opportunities for others, proving to be just as effective, if not better, as a playmaker in these scenarios. This is just a glimpse of how underrated Westbrook's season truly is. A huge part of his ISO success stems from his explosive first step, allowing him to consistently beat his primary defender off the dribble, collapse the opposing defense, and either create easy scoring chances near the rim or find open teammates. With Westbrook set to return from injury after the All-Star break, the Nuggets should seriously consider expanding his role in isolation plays. If he maintains or even improves his efficiency with a higher volume of ISO possessions, Denver may have just unlocked another dangerous weapon for their playoff run, adding even more versatility to an already elite offense. One area where Westbrook's ability to beat defenders off the dribble should provide a significant advantage beyond just isolation plays is as a pick-and-roll creator. However, that hasn't been the case this season. So far, Westbrook has operated as the ball handler in over 150 pick-and-roll possessions, yet his effectiveness in these situations has been alarmingly poor. He ranks in the 20th percentile for pick-and-roll offense, placing him third worst in the entire league among players with at least 150 such possessions. Even more concerning, he sits dead last on his own team in pick-and-roll efficiency, producing just 0.71 points per possession. Yet, despite these struggles, the pick-and-roll remains a staple of his game, accounting for over 21% of his total offensive plays this season. At this point, you might be wondering, why has Westbrook been so ineffective in these situations? And the main culprit has been his turnovers. Turnovers have plagued Westbrook all season, but they've been especially costly in pick-and-roll scenarios. In fact, no player in the entire league has a worse turnover rate on high-volume pick-and-rolls. Westbrook turns the ball over on a staggering 31.1% of his pick-and-roll possessions, the worst mark in the league, with the next closest player at 26.8%. The primary reason for his high turnover rate has been his decision-making as a playmaker in pick-and-roll situations. While some giveaways stem from aggressive drives to the rim, the bulk of his turnovers occur when he tries to thread passes to his rolling big man after a screen. Other factors, like his finishing ability, certainly play a role in his struggles, but turnovers have been the dominant issue, making pick-and-roll offense a major weak spot in his game this season. So now, the big question is, should the Denver Nuggets continue relying on Westbrook as a pick-and-roll creator, or is it time to explore other options? The Nuggets coaching staff might want to seriously consider handing more of that responsibility to Christian Braun instead. Braun has quietly been one of the league's most efficient pick-and-roll initiators this season, despite limited opportunities. The second half of the season presents the perfect window to experiment with him in that role. With more reps, Braun has a chance to prove himself as a legitimate pick-and-roll hub, something that could be a game-changer for Denver. His dual-threat ability as both a playmaker and a pull-up shooter makes him a highly versatile weapon. Moreover, he's been lethal off the dribble this season, knocking down 38.1% of his pull-up threes, while posting an impressive 51.8 effective field goal percentage on all pull-up attempts. For the Nuggets coaching staff, expanding Braun's role would provide a much-needed sample size to evaluate his long-term effectiveness in orchestrating the offense. If he thrives, Denver gains an additional offensive wrinkle heading into the playoffs, where having multiple go-to actions is invaluable. As for Westbrook, the Nuggets would be wise to redefine his role, shifting away from relying on him as a primary pick-and-roll initiator and instead unlocking his full potential in isolation. While turnovers on drives have occasionally been an issue, his ability to create offense one-on-one has been one of his biggest strengths this season. His field goal percentage in isolation is solid, but turnovers have slightly dragged down his overall efficiency, making his points per possession numbers look less impressive than they should. Even so, when used strategically, isolation plays provide him with a more effective and efficient scoring avenue than structured pick-and-roll sets. Ultimately, tweaking these roles could give Denver a more dynamic and unpredictable offensive arsenal, something that will be crucial come playoff time. The final element of Westbrook's offensive game we're diving into is his relentless pursuit of offensive rebounds. Currently, he sits 8th among all guards with 63 offensive rebounds this season. Remarkable, considering he's played fewer games than anyone ranked higher. Westbrook has long been known for his elite rebounding ability, and this season is no different. He's just as dominant on the offensive glass as ever. Out of those 63 offensive boards, 40 have been contested, meaning at least one defender is within 3.5 feet of him when he secures the rebound. That's a staggering stat, and it places him 3rd among all guards in contested rebound percentage at 63.5%. But that's not all. Westbrook has also turned those 63 offensive rebounds into 89 second chance points, only trailing Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. on his team in that category. While the Denver Nuggets rank somewhere in the middle of the pack for offensive rebounds per game, Westbrook's presence on the boards has been key to keeping them competitive in this area, contributing significantly to their success. This season, one of the most underrated on-court partnerships quietly flourishing has been the duo of Russell Westbrook and Jamal Murray. At first glance, you might assume Westbrook's playmaking would be most effective with his big men, especially Nikola Jokic. And to be fair, that connection has been highly productive. Westbrook leads the Nuggets in assists to Jokic by a wide margin, setting him up 109 times this season. For context, the next closest teammate, Michael Porter Jr., has only received 50 assists from Westbrook. But let's shift the focus back to Jamal Murray and just how much he's benefited from sharing the floor with Westbrook. Murray is knocking down a staggering 55.9% of his three-pointers off Westbrook's passes, his highest percentage from any teammate this season. That's even better than his three-point efficiency off Jokic's passes, which sits at just 34%. To put that in context, over 18% of Murray's made threes this season have been assisted by Westbrook. And it's not just from deep. Murray is also converting 50% of his overall field goals when set up by Westbrook. Furthermore, most of Russell Westbrook's assists to Jamal Murray have come from well-timed plays, where Murray darts off screens and into open space, with Westbrook finding him for clean three-point looks. This action has become a staple of the Nuggets' offense, generating a significant number of open shots for Murray. In fact, Murray has been exceptional at capitalizing on these off-screen opportunities, averaging 1.18 points per possession in such situations, which places him in the 85th percentile league-wide. Westbrook has been a crucial factor in Murray's success, reading his movement off screens and delivering pinpoint passes to set him up for smooth scoring opportunities. The Nuggets coaching staff might want to explore increasing these off-screen plays for Murray. At the moment, less than 5% of Murray's offensive possessions feature him running off screens for an open look. Given how effective he's been in those moments, dialing up more of these actions could significantly elevate Denver's offensive efficiency and create even more scoring chances for one of their most potent shooters. Many believe that the Denver Nuggets' championship hopes were in jeopardy after the offseason departure of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The question was raised, could Russell Westbrook fill the void left by Caldwell-Pope? While Westbrook may not replicate the offensive contributions that KCP provided last season, he has stepped up on the defensive end, matching KCP's impact from last year. And when you look at the financial comparison, Westbrook is earning just $3.3 million this season versus Caldwell-Pope, who is earning $22.8 million with the Orlando Magic. It's clear the Nuggets are getting tremendous value out of Westbrook. And given how well Westbrook has meshed with the Nuggets this season, they once again find themselves in the thick of the championship race, with a real shot at claiming the coveted Larry O'Brien trophy. It's not beyond the realm of possibility for Denver to reach that ultimate goal. While they may not be the overwhelming favorites to win it all, they are undeniably a formidable threat, particularly with a player like Jokic on their roster, the most unstoppable force in the league today. Despite many analysts predicting their playoff run to end short of the finals, particularly with teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder being considered stronger contenders for the Western Conference, the Nuggets' potential for a deep postseason run is irrefutable. If they can sustain their excellent form from the first half of the season into the second half and beyond, Who knows just how far Russell Westbrook and the Denver Nuggets could go in this year's NBA playoffs?